I think there are people who wouldn't mind seeing you naked. I'm not saying you're not meant for everyone, but you're meant for some.
There goes the compliment.
It's the Scott and Alley Not For Air podcast. The rules are gone. The shirt is untucked. Here's Scott and Alley.
How does this happen? We have a coworker who has a very raspy voice.
Yes.
And we always make fun of him like, hey, Scott and Alley, can I talk to you?
Hey, you got a chance to get together for a couple minutes after the show?
He does not smoke. No. How does he get that voice?
I don't know.
Although I'll tell you, there was a point in my life that I was actually looking for a woman with laryngitis because I figured she got all her yelling out. Yeah. And now it's officially the Scott and Alley Not For Air podcast.
I can get a dad joke in the first 30 seconds.
That's
and
right.
You did.
Can I tell you what an idiot I am?
What?
Oh, God, let the comments begin. So, you know how TikTok's on this back and forth battle. Will we have it? Won't we have it? This and that. And everybody's been migrating to Red Note. Mm-hmm. Well, I thought I was going to get real slick. I thought I was going to be Mr. Smarty Pants. I'm going to be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to roll it back like it's the 90s. I'm going to go see if I can't buy the redbook.com and, have the URL for it. Mm-hmm. Well, there's two problems with this. First of all,
you're grossly late.
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of it. First of all, it's not Red Book, it's Red Note that people have been migrating to. Mm-hmm. But I got confused because the actual company that owns Red Note, the literal Chinese translation of the name of their company, and you don't want me to try to say that, is Little Red Book. So
have you been learning Chinese?
Yeah, no, I actually read this after I tried to get the URL. I was like, you dumb idiot. So I think about this. I was like, I'm going to buy this and I'm going to get it for like a couple $100 and then somebody's going to come screaming my way and go, hey, we need to buy that URL for like $250 million. And I thought, that's it. Retirement just hit, right? No. So not only was it the wrong URL, but then, now this is where I got a question for you, okay?
This tracks for you.
Did a little more research, and here's what is available for $14. That may be part of the reason that I may have just given myself the answer to this, but therednote.net is available.
Nobody uses .net.
No, I know, but don't people ever get confused and go to the wrong place and we can find a way to make, I don't know, $1,000 a year off that?
I never even type in .net. Actually, I never even type in .com really anymore, unless I am really needing to go to a .org.
Okay.
Then I feel like that's the only time I ever type in something on the back end. Usually I just, Clemens Center, and I just put in Clemens Center and then it pops up and then there we go. I'm never like.
But Google's doing that for you. So, or whatever you use. Mm-hmm. So couldn't it be possible that if I buy therednote.net, that when you go to search for it, somebody will inadvertently click on it and then we can have something there that, I'm not smart enough to make my own social media platform. Don't get me wrong.
And what are you going to have there?
Just, you know what? I know. We'll just have a picture of a butt that goes wee 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 wee, and then it'll get shared. And I don't know. There's nothing here, is there?
Is there? No. And is there a website?
No.
Is there a website instead of that when you open it, it's a butt and you tap on the cheek and it farts? That would be awesome.
Now, you see, that could generate at least $1,000 a year.
Yeah. It's such I'm not going to visit. The problem is something like that. I'm not going to visit it all the time. I will visit it at like Christmas time to show all my cousins.
Or you'll send the link?
Yeah.
Like, click here
yes.
for a good morning?
Honestly, not a bad way to monetize.
Yeah.
Or my other idea for you is to kind of like an OnlyFans, but you'll do like, you're the like bald brisket guy, which I think we've talked about before. I just always want to put you.
You want me to be cooking. You want me to start a cooking channel.
Yes. Cooking channel naked. I mean, I don't want you to be naked. I'm just saying, I think that's
Nobody wants to see me doing anything naked. I don't want to see myself doing anything naked.
I think that is what could really propel you, though.
Oh, so what it would be is I could have my line of smokers set up doing the cooking, and instead of wearing like a hospital gown where your butt's hanging out, I would be naked with the exception of an apron. So there'd be the occasional picture of the rump roast. See what I did? As opposed to, just me standing there in all my glory. Because again, I'm not trying to ruin your appetite. It's a cooking channel.
I have another idea.
Okay.
So people can pay and then the nakedness will come. But hang on a second.
Oh, God.
They can pay and it will be like, I want to pay for $1 and I want to see you cook a pork and then another $1 you tell you what smoker to put it in. And then it might be another $1. So they kind of they're the ones who are in charge, but you're the one doing the work.
Okay. Wait, but where's the naked part?
Well, that's secondary.
Okay.
So then it's kind of like poker. So they can pay to, let's say you start fully clothed. And if they pay, then, okay, similar to poker, say it's $5 for a sock and Scott's barbecuing and brisketing and -1 sock. But then the more money you pay, the more money that comes off.
Let me tell you how this is going to go. I like the idea of you pay $1 for every piece of advice, but people are going to ask me for money to put my clothes back on. I'm going to end up broke again.
I think that you're selling yourself short. I really do. I think that there are people out there.
This is how I fish for a compliment.
But for real, besides your girlfriend, I think there are people who wouldn't mind seeing you naked. I'm not saying you're not meant for everyone, but you're meant for some.
There goes the compliment. I want that actually on a t-shirt. I'm not meant for everyone, but for some.
Yes. Yes.
Now I found a way to monetize things.
I think that's is that not such a great idea?
Yeah, I mean, up until that comment, it felt good. Then it didn't.
So speaking of naked, we had also talked about Landman on the show. And then we had talked about, now we're moving it over to the podcast because also I am one more episode in. So
so you're 2 in now.
Yeah, like 2.5. I keep on getting tired like mid-episode. So
they are long episodes. Actually, I don't know that they're any longer of an episode. And I'm not saying the show runs slow, but for some reason it felt like they were very long episodes, but it didn't. But I wanted more with every episode. It's the weirdest mix. Like how normally when you feel something's running long, like you might be already with this podcast. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But normally when you feel something's running long, you go, I need to walk away from this or I'm getting bored. Mm-hmm. This show doesn't do that, but they have long episodes, but then I'm dying for the next one.
Yeah, definitely. But you had talked about this one episode where, and it wasn't just you, it was a backlash that people were giving on the main character, who's an older gentleman.
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton.
Yes. And he was laying in a bed with his daughter, his teenage daughter, she's 17, and I think she's 17, and she's in her underwear. And there was some backlash on it. But then once you watch the episode, you see she's going through a breakup and he was just trying to console her. It wasn't anything disgusting.
Right.
It made sense. But I will say, I don't think I would ever be in that position.
No, I think that you may not be. But in a case like this, there were so many factors that brought that scene, I think, to the way that it looked when it did. Without ruining the show for anybody else, the daughter appears in the series and goes through something right away, almost immediately in that episode, and she's very hurt. I think she's 18 in the show.
Okay.
I don't believe the actress is 18. I think she might be a little older, but
she's gotta be.
But at any rate, what she had gone through was, and without again ruining that scene for anyone that's not seen it, is I think the people that said it was icky and the people that said that was disgusting, because there was this group that did that, and that's going to happen. This show has taken off in such a way. The popularity has gotten enormous right away. This is the biggest streaming series that Paramount Plus has ever had, and they've got some good shows. Don't get me wrong. Paramount's actually my number one go-to app. And yes, thank you for the free year-long membership now, Paramount Plus. I'll make sure you have my contact info to set me up. But that being said, they have a lot of good stuff. So now you've got, because of the popularity of the show, so many people, and I don't think everybody's seen or paid attention to that scene, because if you really pay attention to it, although for you it's not, you said it's not something you'd likely do, I can see how that scene came together.
Yeah, me too.
And if you noticed also in that scene, again, not ruining anything, Billy Bob Thornton did a really good job of not acting like it was awkward for him. It's almost as though he was like, well, this takes me back to when you were a very little girl and you would lay next to your dad or your mom or whoever, and you might fall asleep on them and it might just be the thing. So I think that's what they were trying to portray, was the innocence of youth, very young, when, you know, you're 5 years old and you want mom or dad to lay with you while you fall asleep, and that happens. Could be a thunderstorm, whatever the case may be. And I think that's what they were trying to portray. And the people that made all those comments, I literally have to say to them, you probably are those people that did not pay close enough attention. You were on your phone too much during the episode, or you didn't even see the episode to be able to make an educated comment on it, because when you see it and you absorb it and you go, oh, he was actually just trying to be a decent dad.
The funny thing is, I'm saying that I would never be in this situation. Me and my dad are really close. I don't remember ever like laying in a bed with my dad. And I don't mean that in a gross way. I'm just saying that is, you know, I'm sure that like you lay down and watch or read Lydia bedtime stories and stuff.
Oh, God, yeah.
But it's weird. I think for some reason, my dad cut that off at a very early age. If like, I don't know if my dad was that dad.
Let me
I
ask
don't know
you a
if he was
question.
like super nurturing in that way.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
I'm going to take you to a horrible place, but this is the only time that I can think this would happen based on what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't want Mark to go. Don't get me wrong. We don't need him crossing the Rainbow Bridge anytime soon.
Oh, no.
But Mark's on his deathbed.
Okay.
And he has enough energy left in him to say, Alicia, come lay next to me.
Oh, I absolutely would.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're
think that-
consoling him at that point.
I think that our relationship is like, it's had like weird cycles where when I've always been super close to him, but I feel like sometimes now as adults, we're even closer.
Sure.
In an interesting way. Like, I almost feel like I do need to take care of him. Like, for instance, like when it came to even like gifts, it's not really about the gifts, but when it comes to buying my dad something for his birthday or for Christmas, like, I'm not going to lie, I knocked it out of the park this year. And I bought him for his birthday comedian tickets to see a stand-up comedian, and I bought him concert tickets for Christmas. And I just thought, well, I do that because like, I want the time.
Yeah.
You know,
I get it.
I don't know if we would like yeah, okay. So back to the whole like how like you might, and I don't know if you do or don't, and if you don't want to say that's fine too. But like I can see you being the dad that's like, oh, you know, come here, you know, lay next to me, you know, I'll read you a bedtime story or whatever. I don't remember my dad doing that. And that might be because he was traveling so much on the Southern Gospel Tour bus. He was traveling so much that I don't...
He was laying next to the Lord.
I don't know if we did that. I kind of am curious if we did. Because I think that also sets up for like, that's why in our teenage years...
I think you'd remember, because I still remember my parents laying next to me when I was very little. I don't remember exactly what age it ended. Obviously pretty young. But I do remember my dad and my mom rotating, reading me stories as I was getting ready to fall asleep. And sometimes you get nice conversations at that age.
Yeah.
Kids can ask questions. They can do this. And that actually is kind of like that scene from Landman that got a lot of backlash, was the girl was almost asking some life questions. Like she was learning something.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, and I'd have to go back and watch the speech that Billy Bob had during that scene, but I want to say he had, because his character is written with so many great lines, pretty sure he had some great words of wisdom for his daughter. So it makes me go, were the people that complaining either A, never saw the episode and jumped on a bandwagon because somebody made a comment that they didn't see it and they're like, oh yeah, that's just naturally disgusting, or were they on their phones? We all do it.
Or they don't have that relationship like I'm saying.
Maybe.
Because I don't remember my parents doing that at all. Laying and reading books and all that. No, not even my mom. So I think that it's just a matter of, well, I wasn't raised with a closer family like that. It kind of reminds me of the question, and I know we've asked this on the show before, is like kissing your parents on the lips, and eventually that stops, or it might start up again, or whatever. Like, you know, my dad's not the guy. Not kiss my dad on the lips.
Right.
I've never been that person. I've kissed my mom on the lips, but no, me and my dad.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah. Yeah. But me and my dad, no kissing on the lips. So, but I know another family, big lip kissers.
Big, big lip kissers.
Big lip kissers.
Big lip kissers.
And they're, the kids are in their 20s and 30s.
While we're on the subject of family, take me down the question that you want to ask. You had said, I have a question. This is before the podcast. You said, I have a question for you. What would this be like dealing with family? Because I also have a family question, but mine can wait till after the one that you have.
Okay, mine is if you walk in on your mother-in-law giving skin to your baby, and how would you feel about it? I immediately, and I don't have children, but I immediately am like, no.
Yeah.
No. That is reserved for me. That is me and my connection to my baby. It's the same with the nursing thing. And I know those are two totally different things, but that I'm never going to let you do two things with my child. You're not doing skin on skin, and you're not nursing my baby.
That was a bold move on the mother-in-law's part.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say two things. I know in other cultures, there's, I think, villages in Africa where they'll pass the baby around from different person to different person, boob to boob, to feed them. I think that's where the expression "it takes a village to raise a child" came from.
Well, you can leave your village boobies out of my kid's mouth.
That's where I was going to go with this. I think it was an overstep from the mother-in-law, and it's, she may have great love for the grandbaby, and that is a beautiful thing. But even great love for a grandbaby, in my opinion, should have some sort of a line.
Yep.
Maybe the one exception would be if both mom and dad were forever out of the picture and grandma was going to be raising the child, it might step into a little different of a parental role at that point. But as far as we know, the mom and dad are alive and well and connected very much to the kid.
She walks in to this happening.
Yeah, I would be, if it was my own mother doing it to one of my children, because you said it was the mother-in-law, so essentially the guy walked in to his wife's mother doing it.
She walked into
could be
husband's mother. Yeah. If
it was me walking into my own mother doing it, I would be like, what are you doing?
Yes.
There is, that's quite the connection.
Exactly. And even with the nursing thing, like the only time that I would want somebody else to nurse my baby is if there was some tragic accident where I'm in the hospital and I can't nurse my baby.
Yeah. We've got technology nowadays where for both women that can't produce as much milk, that is, and that's more common than you realize. We've got the ability now to do, donated breast milk to feed babies, because a lot of parents will say, well, I'd really like to be able to do that. We work with a hospital locally that we helped fundraise money for a program that does this on the regular. It's very big in New York State. This is a very common thing and it's very regulated and all that. So in that regard, we've kind of gotten there. You know what I mean?
That's fine. Put it in the bottle.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't need my kid's mouth on your boob.
Now, if you're stranded on a desert island,
right? Then fine.
We got to keep everybody alive.
Yes.
In fact, I might take some off the boob.
Yeah, but of course you would.
Yeah, well,
But I think that's just, that's the right thing is you don't get that connection. You can still connect with my child in so many different grandparent ways, but not the way that I'm supposed to be connecting with my kid as a parent.
Boundaries. Yes. There are boundaries that, and unfortunately, a lot of specifically grandparents don't know boundaries. Now, I'm not saying that you don't love your grandkids. I'm not saying you're not a wonderful grandparent. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you were to line up 10 families, I would be willing to bet that 9 out of 10 would say, well, one of the members of the family, one of the parents would be able to go, this is a little bit of an overstep. It's there. But babies do that to people. That's the weirdest thing.
I know. And who's actually really great at boundaries is Zach's mom. So we have a 3-year-old niece, and in the 3 years up to this point, there have been certain things that the mom does, and they're not terrible. I'll give you one that's such a simple one. She doesn't use bibs. And right, it's such a small thing. But Zach's mom's like, okay, like I think she's like, it's weird. and why wouldn't you? Because babies get so messy.
Oh yeah, you're going to ruin all the clothes.
But she's like, I'm going to respect her. I'm going to respect mom. And if she doesn't want baby to not use a bib, then okay, that's what we're going to do. So it's very interesting.
Are they trying to teach the kid to be less messy? Because that doesn't happen. My God, I have a 5-year-old and she still can cover her face in a cupcake when she eats it.
My God, I'm 42. And Zach's always like, you've got spaghetti sauce by your ear.
Yeah, right? I mean, if you stood up now, your Laura Ingalls dress probably has a stain on it.
I know it
so,
does.
Yeah.
And that's why this is, shoulder up.
In fact, you need a bib, So
I wish they made adult bibs.
Now, while we're talking about family, I got a bizarre, maybe not so uncommon scenario that I want your opinion on.
Okay.
So it turns out that son-in-law loans mother-in-law $2,000.
Okay.
Son-in-law and mother-in-law's daughter, so the son and his wife, they get divorced. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's it. And the son-in-law had a good relationship with the mother-in-law. I'm not saying she sided 100% with the son-in-law through the divorce, but somehow that maintained a decent enough relationship.
Okay.
Still has not gotten back the $2,000 that mother-in-law owes former now son-in-law. Should he chalk that up to it's just gone?
Unfortunately, yes. And I think he should still make contact with her and say, on such and such date. And this is why, 2 things. Don't lend money that you expect to get back. So the second thing is maybe there was some sort of written agreement. But if there wasn't, because a lot of people just don't do that.
I doubt there was. It was, at the time, family.
Right. So, but I've gotten burned before, so now I make sure there are written agreements for things like that. But if that's the case, I still think he should try to get his money and reach out and say, hey, just want to remind you that you borrowed X amount of dollars. You still owe me this amount. He could even make up a lie and say, I am running really tight on money right now that I'm down to a single income. Is there any way that I could get that money? At first be kind at first, but at this point, if you have nothing in writing, you
don't have a leg to stand on.
No, you're probably not getting it back. And now that you're not with my daughter anymore, you're really not getting it back.
Yeah, because there is definitely, no matter how good the relationship was with the now former son-in-law, you are still blood with your daughter.
Yes. And, last-ditch effort is fine. And I think I would make a last-ditch effort. I know some people are like, forget it. It's gone. It's $2,000. For me, I'm a little bit...
That's a good chunk of change, though.
Right. I'm a little bit more particular about my money. So I would at least try a couple times to get it back. At first, very nicely try to get it back. And then it probably is going to just be, unfortunately, gone by the wayside.
Do you think this is the way that... I'm going to be honest with you. I know that I'm a big believer of I'd like to stay friends with everyone, I don't like the conflict part of life. It's not something I've ever enjoyed. But do you think this is going to be the thing that is going to go, we're done here.
Yeah.
No more. He makes the last ditch effort. Maybe there's not even a response from it. That's it. Get away from it.
Yeah, it usually gets to a point. I was friends with, my brother was married to somebody for a long time, and her and I had a great relationship. But it did get to a point where he was like, no, I'm your brother. I'm blood. You don't know all the ins and outs of what happened in this relationship.
That statement, I'm sure, is true.
Yes. So I don't want you to have contact with her anymore. I've talked to her once, actually, in the past year.
Yeah.
But it was just really quickly like, hey, something happened on her social. And I was just like, oh, I'm sorry, you lost your mom or something like that,
Did it feel awkward reaching out at that point after it had been a long period of time where you had not had contact?
No, because the thing that had happened was something that like I knew, it was something from the past. And so it was something that I knew about her. So I knew, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the emotions, I knew how she would feel about this thing. So I was like, oh, I'm going to reach out. And she even just said like, oh my gosh, it's so good hearing from you. Thank you so much. I mean, it was kind of like a blanket statement, but I really felt like she was like, oh, Allie knows. She was with me for part of this relationship. So she understands what's going on. So So yeah, what it comes down to is I think this relationship is going to end whether you want it to or not. It just kind of fades away. Even though there are some parties that want to keep it up, rarely, once in a blue.
Yeah, I feel there's a period of time. If you did have that relationship, there's a very brief period of time. Well, if there's no kids involved, I feel that it's going to move on when you move on to another relationship, because it's going to be real weird to have to describe to the person that you're with now why you're still talking to your ex's mother.
Yeah.
That's going to be weird.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a natural point of progression where it's like, yeah, we're done.
Yep.
I think just if that doesn't happen like that, just over time, it's going to, like you said, does this sound bad to say you just lose interest in that person?
Lose interest, but you also, I think, just know the boundaries. And you're right. At first, it's like, oh, but I loved them and we were connected and we were friends. But then eventually it does get to that point of, you're right, you do kind of lose interest.
It's terrible to say.
No, you're right. You're
All
right.
I got one last question for you, because I was thinking about this too. Pardon me. When's the last time you've been to a Chinese buffet?
Oh my God. It's been so long. And someone just asked me about one recently that's close to my house. And was it you?
Yeah.
And I said, I know.
Because they used to have a rumor going around that they had cats in the freezer.
Yeah.
No joke. There was a rumor. And I kind of felt bad for the business, because they're probably like, oh God, this is just some a-hole that didn't have a great meal one time and decided to take it public, and boy, did that one stick. And that was a rumor, no joke, from a good 19 years ago.
I know. And
I still think there are people that carry that rumor with them.
I think so too. I'm surprised this buffet is still open. I see cars there, but I never see a lot of cars there, and I never hear about it. And there was that buffet this close to where we work, in the GCP Plaza.
Yeah, that's still open. That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, sure is. So my question is that, I know the pandemic didn't kill everything, did it?
No, I'm surprised.
Do you leave a tip at those buffets?
Oh my gosh, I've wondered this my whole life.
And you're the tip happy one of the show.
I know. I always leave a little something, but I never end up leaving a lot. I'll leave like a couple bucks.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And I don't know why it's any different than even if I go to a coffee shop or something. I'm like, is it their culture? But they're here. So why am I saying that?
No, here's the way I would handle this myself personally, because number one, at a buffet, I am doing 80% of the work. Now, when I say 80% of the work, some buffets are the drink bringers and you handle all your food getting. But they also did have to prep the food.
Right.
So, there is that piece to it.
But you don't tip a chef in an Italian restaurant.
No, but don't some of the tips go to a lot of the different people that are there?
I worked in an Italian restaurant. It went to the bar back and the dishwasher did get 1%.
Oh, the people that are really getting paid shitty.
Yeah. Okay. We never tipped the
So
chefs.
it didn't go to the chef. Well, maybe some restaurants do it that way. I'm not sure, but I know this. So I figure, I'm doing 80% of the work. The 20% you're doing is you're putting the food out. And anytime, I mean, the reason I'm taking 5 trips to the buffet is I always want the General Tso's chicken, and it's never there. Everybody always wants it. So I keep having to go back up. And now you're making me look like a fat ass because I made 5 trips to the buffet just to get one cubule of General's chicken because, Heather over there. No, I'm just kidding.
And you have to go and get something. So you're putting a crab rangoon on your plate.
Absolutely. So, but anyway, maybe they bring in the drinks, maybe they don't. And yes, I know they take the plate. And yes, so essentially what you have is at a buffet, you have a drink bringer, which is always soda. 99.9% of buffets are not, alcoholic serving buffets.
Right.
Alcoholic serving. Yes, now they're just serving people with problems. The alcohol serving is what I meant. But you're essentially a bus person. That's what your job is when you're a server or whatever you want to call it at a buffet, right?
So if we go on my theory, then we always tipped bus people 1%.
So here's what I would do.
Okay.
Here's how I would handle this. And I thought of this while we're talking about it. Tell me if you like my idea.
Okay.
Many times when you get a receipt upon checkout, you swipe your card. There's 2 things that happen. You either have a computer screen now that says add the tip immediately and you can push a button. You know who has this? The Cracker Barrel.
Okay.
I can always push the button for 20% and just They calculate it. It's done. It's automatic.
Easy.
I'm out the door. Or you get the traditional paper slip and you can write the tip in on it. Because what you don't want to do is make it appear that you're not tipping anything. Because then all of a sudden your dirty plates stack up and you don't get another Diet Coke when you are dying of thirst because you accidentally got the hottest thing at the buffet and your mouth is on fire.
Right. Because they didn't have your General Tso's.
Right. So they're sitting there going, well, we'll just get them back for no tip and we'll make sure that we don't bring any drinks, and they will flame out their mouth and butthole in 2 hours later. So I need those drinks coming. So I got to do something.
Yeah.
Here, tell me if you like this. On the paper receipt, if I have to write a tip, I write on there, on table. And I will leave, let's say it's $45 for two of us to go to the buffet. Weirdly sounds about right.
Yeah.
You're getting $5. And what's that
Yes.
for? That's for taking my dirty plates, not bringing me anything, my dirty plates, and bringing me 2 Diet Cokes. Okay? We're done there. If it is one that is electronic, I have to say no tip, but that scares the hell out of me because now I'm like, and I don't know if those electronic ones have tip on table. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I don't think so,
Because,
no.
yeah, I don't think so either. But that's about the only way I'm doing it. So I'm doing a very small reduced tip for the buffet bus server, if you will. Or I'm writing leave it on table, and I will leave like $5 cash. Do you think that's acceptable?
I do. I also have a question for you. When it comes to this particular culture.
How many crab rangoons can I really eat? Take me to the buffet, lady. We'll find out.
No, but what I want to know is how is it that we can get every hack on TikTok, every we know every secret menu item. Why is it that and this is specific, if you are of the Asian culture, I want to know the answer. Why are there so many secrets that we don't know, or the little nuances about going to a buffet? Or even, I feel it's the same when I go to a nail salon that is owned by the Asian culture, is like, okay, am I still tipping 20%? Yes, on that one. But, there's certain nuances that happen that I'm like, why do we not know the behind the scenes? We know the behind the scenes of
what's expected, or
Yes.
what is the proper etiquette for it?
Yes, we
You
know the
got me
behind
on
the
that.
right. We know the behind the scenes on everything.
Yeah.
We know the tips, the tricks, the life hacks. But this is one that I'm like, what? What are they gatekeeping?
What do you expect?
What do you
What
expect?
should I do? What do you want me to do?
Yes.
I may not still do what you want me to do, but what do you want me to do?
Right, because I feel like no one has ever said in the history of my life on this earth. Have you ever heard it?
No. How to handle the tipping
Yes,
at a buffet?
Yes.
99% of the time, Asian buffet. No,
Yes.
nobody's ever.
And
That's why I just came up with what I came up with. I'm like, this is as close as I can get to what I think is right.
And what stinks is I used to have a very close Asian friend, and we're just not that close anymore. So,
That would be a weird call. Hey, bud, haven't talked to you in a while, but how do you tip at an Asian buffet? Boy, that might just push that relationship even further apart.
Exactly. I haven't talked to him since 2020, so I'm not going to do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it, but I would love to know.
Well, if anyone knows, please comment in the section below.
Please.
And enjoy that. And also, please feel free to like and share this so that we might be able to get the answer from somewhere. Because really what it comes down to is we're just trying to figure out life's basic answers too.
What it comes down to, when am I going to go to a Chinese buffet?
Right now. And you said
Okay.
crab rangoon. I'm like, we're out of here.
Okay, well then bye.
Well, that was fun. Wasn't that fun? That was fun. Do us a favor, will you? Subscribe. Share the Scott and Alley Not for Air podcast. Touch our buttons. We know you want to.